Hello everyone, there's a very interesting thread on r/Citizen. Loves the new defense missions by the PC 101 with 1505 upvotes. Let's take a look. And he has a video. The video contains copyrighted music, so I had to mute it. If you want to watch his video with the music, the link to this is my first pinned comment below. He's doing a defense mission, he is in a Polaris, and he's defending a Nomad. But the Nomad isn't doing so well. Nomad is flying against a still closed hangar door and takes damage and later just vanishes into the purple. And on top of this he gets a message, yeah, you failed. $1 billion year 14.
Sorry, but I need to revoke this contract. Foxwell needs its field operatives to uphold their corporate standard.
There is no excuse for this very sloppy work. We are not talking about a small studio just starting. This is a $1 billion project in year 14. Most people gave Chris money and bought chips because he wants the Star Citizen MMO. Squadron 42 is a single-player game and should do fine on its own. However, Chris puts most of the money and his best people onto Squadron 42. According to leaks, Chris has put at least $500 million exclusively into Squadron 42, and very little of this will port over to the Star Citizen MMO. And this was 1.5 years ago. My guess is Squadron 42 has now received more than $600 million, maybe even $700 million. The Star Citizen MMO receives the crumbs, still only has a skeleton crew working on it, and not exactly CRG's better people.
Sorry, but I need to revoke this contract. Foxwell needs its field operatives to uphold their corporate standard.
Let's take a look at some of the comments. Blind Emo, if only there was some kind of testing environment where this could have been identified before being pushed to a live server. Remember, in 2024, Chris laid off most of CRG's QA people. We, the players, are now CRG's QA department. And even before this, CRG hardly ever tests anything. Same thing with numbers in XMLs. There are lots of errors. No colleagues, no supervisors ever check any number. Master Flaps. The most valuable thing CRG has created isn't the PU or even Squadron 42. It's a database of people who will not only put up with decades of moving goalposts, but also pay to be serially let down and then mocked as a roadmap watcher on something but keep coming back for more. A lot of people, including myself, have the suspicion that CRG might actually quickly test such mechanics, such new missions, but only on their dedicated servers that are standing right next to them with like 3 people on it. This is not how you test things for a live environment, CRG. Dead Pirater said this. Firstly, load testing is a thing that developers have to simulate in lots of situations. If they wanted to test more thoroughly, they could. We don't need to make excuses for them. But secondly, sure, it's a testing environment. There's nothing prima facie wrong with saying we don't need to load test it. Alpha players are signed up to help test. That's what alpha means. But that would be fine if each patch was followed by an aggressive set of fixes to get a content that was deemed important enough to be included in a patch up to reliable playability. We get that we are playing in a testing environment. It would just be nice if CRG passed some of the tests once in a while. Yeah, even if we say, yeah, CRG cannot do load testing, this would be too much work. At the very least, CRG should draw consequences of our live experience and fix the missions. But even this is ignored by CRG. Acceptable bit 1019. I'm not a CRG hater by any means, and I've defended them in the past, but I'm generally just starting to believe that they are bad and incompetent developers. I am sure that CRG has a lot of hard-working artists, QA people, coders and devs. The issue lies at the very top, Chris and his cronies. Management is just not up for the task. Club Chaos. Glassdoor shows CRG is an awful company to work at. Toxic, bad management, and crippling deadlines with zero long-term vision or plan. Take that for what you will, but all signs point to things are bad, not because the game is god-tier complex, but simply because the code is bad, the leadership stinks, and no one has a clue what is going on. I thought about making a video about Glassdoor CRG reviews for a while now. The issue is, many of those reviews can just be fakes. On the other hand, many of those reviews can also be good fakes done by CRG themselves. So take this with a huge grain of salt. Still, 2.6 out of 5 stars is really bad. This is way worse than Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, Blizzard, Activision. I think that's the worst rating any game studio ever had on Glassdoor. Dual Pickless. The same missions already existed and those had the same exact issues. And so they went and pushed the same mission out again without fixing it. Impulse Afterthought, that's the part that gets me. All of the existing escort missions, including the mercenary ones, have exactly the same problem. I don't want Star Citizen to fail. I'm way past concierge. However, I have no hope left anymore with Chris and CRG's top management. Chris is still prioritizing eye candy, cool cinematic, his interactive movie scored on 42. By the way, there will be chapter 2 and 3, expensive art in all their studios, and his private cinema. Chris does not care about the Star Citizen PU as long as it brings the money in, and it still does big time. No other game promises what Star Citizen does, but we will never get the game Chris and CRG promised us in the last 13 years. Never. All we can hope for is a bare minimum 1.0. With just 5-star systems, missing basics, missing mechanics, almost no physics, no alien worlds, boring and repetitive missions, time sinks on top of time sinks, laggy and buggy, and even this is years away. Stop throwing money into this fire. Please stop. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. So you have one big cargo elevator. Okay, what happened now? What is this? I didn't spawn the pieces. Okay, I'm confused. Anyway, you might get some vehicles inside. Okay, no pieces left. I guess 2 hangars overlapped. Okay, that's too funny. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.